Welcome to the WRC podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and you're in the right place. Here at the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast, what you can expect is to learn, shift your thinking, and gain personal and professional growth. And if you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. The conversation starts now. Hey everybody, welcome to the WRC podcast, where we explore a wide range of topics to help you become a more informed and empathetic counselor. I am your host, Katrina Marie, and in today's special episode, we are combining our focus on counseling and the world of fashion. And before we get started, I just want to have a gentle reminder that my book, The Well-Rounded Counselor, Considerations for International College Counselors, is published. You can buy your copy on Amazon. I really feel like that this book can empower and impact you in a meaningful and productive way. So make sure that you buy yourself a copy. I have it in ebook and paperback. Of course, the ebook is only $2.99, which is super affordable if you want to invest in yourself. I mean, you can't buy most things at the grocery store for $2.99 these days, especially with the way that the world is going. So if you want some positive growth for yourself personally and professionally in your practice, and you don't have to be a college counselor, by the way. You can just be any kind of counselor, and it's kind of a fun, playful book to help you give some awareness and self-reflection on your basic needs. And as a counselor, I highly encourage you to purchase a book, and all the details will be below in the show notes. So make sure you check it out. You can literally check it out as you're listening to me right now. All you got to do is click on see more in the show notes, and you'll find the link at the very top, just under the description of this episode. And while you listen to me, you can even be looking at Amazon and shopping. So multitask, people, multitask. But let's today dive into the impact of how our clothing choices have on others and how this knowledge can be applied in our counseling session. So this is kind of what I want to talk about. And anybody that knows me personally will say that Katrina has a good sense of fashion. She loves clothes. And this is very true. And it's not just because I'm a woman and, women like shopping. No, men like this too. And men like to look good at work. I mean, I believe these things. People like to look good or make a good impression. And this was something that I literally thought of as I woke up in bed. And I was just like, this would be a really interesting topic. I don't know why it's calling to me, but I really believe that what we wear and how we show up impacts our self-esteem, the way we help people, how people perceive us, what kind of message we are sending out into the world. So let's just dive into this topic. And the first thing I would like to talk about, so there's going to be three things I'm talking about, but the first one is impressions and perceptions. These things are not factual. These are based off of individuals' societal norms, their beliefs, their perceptions about other cultures. So impressions and perceptions. This is something left to interpretation by our students, our clients, our coworkers, our boss, if you work for yourself, how you show up in your business, all of that. So as a counselor, the way we present ourselves can significantly impact the initial impressions of our clients, our students, our coworkers, etc. So our clothing choice can communicate either professionalism, approachability, even respect. So you need to decide what is your individual choice of fashion and how is that impacting how people perceive you and how they approach you and how they take you, whether it's a serious manner or they don't take you seriously at all. So dressing in a manner that aligns with probably the expectations of your workplace and the line of work that you do can really create a sense of trust and confidence with our students, our clients, parents, everybody that we associate with in a work environment. So we'll kind of explore how the understanding of the nuances of fashion and our sense of individual fashion can help us build a strong rapport from the moment we meet with somebody. So I think it's important to think about, which is the next thing, is our social and cultural significance. So this is particularly relevant in counseling in almost any place that we are at. And by the way, I just want to make a little side note comment because I felt like this is relevant. Um, Whoever you are, I check my analytics all the time. Whoever you are listening from Cheyenne, Wyoming, you are like my top listener, by the way. And so I don't know who you are. Please reach out to me. Please find me because I'm so curious about who you are and how you found me, first of all. And I believe the next top destination is Florida. So I just think it's so fascinating that these listeners from around the world. I mean, I'm based in Dubai, so uh, it's super cool. And the fact that I get to talk about very international topics, and you are my top listeners, I find that super super awesome. So thank you very much for being a very faithful listener. So, the second topic I want to talk about today is social and cultural significance. And like I said, this is relevant in our counseling, and our clients come from possibly diverse backgrounds and cultures. And it's important for us to set norms and values related to clothing. So, I'm going to give you an example on that. As I just mentioned, I'm based here in the UAE, and there are certain cultural norms that need to be respected because of the country that I am in. So, yes, I work in a American school where it's a very diverse population, and majority of my coworkers are North American, and they have certain values and norms that I can align with 200% because that was how I brought up. But I still need to respect the layers above that, which are the country's norms and values, which is a little bit more conservative, more modest. I work with a lot of Arabic students. I work with a lot of students from maybe South Asia, Southeast Asia, and their perception is very different about how a teacher or a person in the school should show up. I know that, we're in the US, things can be a little bit more liberal, relaxed, more casual possibly, especially if you're maybe in the public school system, or in certain offices, your office attire can be a little more casual, relaxed, more like a Facebook, Google style, right? But I still feel like when you are in a professional role, this is my personal belief, right? When you are in a professional role and you are in a country where the values are a little more conservative, you need to somehow fuse your personal style, your personal brand, your personal attributes of how you feel comfortable with the local culture and customs and norms. This is just an obvious thing. I would think it's an obvious thing, but it's not always obvious, right? So somebody maybe in Cheyenne, Wyoming is going to dress very differently because the culture in that setting is going to be very different than here in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. So it's all context. It's all basically understanding the norms and the cultural significance. So me always at least covering majority of my arms and my legs, and you know keeping things a bit more professional, that's going to send a certain message to the types of students that I'm constantly interacting with, and their parents, by the way. So just be mindful that how you're dressing can send a message about how people will respect you. And it's not always obvious. It's subconscious, right? It's a subconscious programming. It's not like a active conscious programming. So it's very interesting how the mind picks up on these things, and how they see how you show up and how you dress and how you articulate yourself. All these things combined will formulate an assumption of how they want to proceed with you moving forward. So, by recognizing and respecting these differences, we can create a safe and inclusive space for our students, our clients, to express themselves, because we are showing up in a professional way where there's, some uh, like those boundaries that I've talked about. Like you are creating that boundary that I'm the professional, I'm here to help you based off of how you dress, and that way the client or the student can open up and trust you based off of your physical outward appearance. So we'll discuss how, incorporating the cultural sensitivity into our understanding of fashion can enhance our therapeutic or solution focused relationships. So, again, the third topic is the influence and inspiration. So, when we explore the role of fashion, it can inspire people, right? Like, think about actresses and actors in Hollywood. Like, some of them make really bold statements, and it can really influence us to be more progressive or liberal or conservative or classy, or whatever that might look like. And that goes for men and women, old, young, whoever. Fashion influences us. It creates a sense of self-expression, confidence, creativity. I mean, that's why I love clothes, because I love colors and I also love neutral colors. I blend it all together. And I think it's a one way I can express myself. And one thing I always find at work is people always say, you look so put together. You look like you always have your nails done. You always have your hair done. You always, wear X, Y, and Z. And that to me says, this is my signature look. This is how I show up. This is how people perceive me. If we're having like a spirit day at work, for example, like where the kids can dress down. All of our kids wear uniforms, by the way, but sometimes we have a spirit week and the staff can get involved, right? I'm usually the last person, you guys, to get into the spirit week because I'm like, no, no, no. I need to stay in my professional little shell and not break that mold. So it's been a learning curve for me over the years to be comfortable to show up at work a little bit more relaxed and to dress up or dress down or whatever they call it. And for me, funny enough, like I feel like so unprofessional if I'm wearing like pajamas to work for pajama day. Like that, like where my other coworkers, they're totally cool with it. They think it's fun. And that's them. Like they embrace it, they own it, they're confident wearing that. For me, I'm just not comfortable because I feel like it breaks that boundary for me of like nobody's going to take me seriously if I'm wearing a onesie to work for pajama day. How's that even like if I'm having a parent appointment? No, I just can't. But that is me. That is my upbringing. That is my own self awareness, right? So you have to ask yourself that question. How do I influence other people, and how do people perceive me, and how can I inspire other people to take action? And inspiring also can look like, how do we mentor our, let's use the example of an interview. We're coaching someone to have an interview, right? Like, or an interview with an alumni or for an internship or job. So we would coach them on maybe what to wear to that interview, whether it's in person or on Zoom. We're going to say, maybe you should wear, if we're talking to a student, maybe you should wear your school uniform because that looks professional. Or maybe you should put on a nice button down shirt and some nice pants or nice shoes or nice slacks or whatever that will look like. So again, we are trying to inspire them based off of our own self-beliefs and our own cultural and social norms. We're trying to say this would be acceptable, right? Whereas here in the UAE, another form of acceptance in terms of cultural norms is wearing local clothing. So ladies could wear abaya or men could wear kandora, and that would be deemed as professional as well because that's the local clothing. So it's all contextual, it's all interesting. Whatever we wear can influence or inspire people. And I think it's important that fashion, personally, fashion, our personal fashion can show self-expression both as a counselor and a client. So even when we are working with someone and they come in and they got purple hair and they wear maybe like some cut up clothes and they have piercings, like we can't judge them. That's just them expressing themselves. And that can give us a lot of context into who they are, how they think about things, possibly what's important to them, and how they see themselves in this world. So it's really kind of a fun way to get to know people as well. I always love when students are not in uniform and I get to kind of see their personal style. And sometimes I don't always agree with it. But again, that's because it's not always school appropriate. But then you see some cool stuff. Like you get to see them kind of wear like unique things or cool t-shirts. And it's just kind of like, wow, like they got personality outside of a uniform. I know uniforms kind of make everybody feel like the same and there's no comparison. And I think there's wonderful things with having a uniform. That's a whole nother topic in itself. But when students get the opportunity to self-express and show a little bit of individuality, that can help us understand them a bit more and their personal style. So I encourage students, you should encourage your clients to explore their own sense of individuality and authenticity, and incorporating, their personal style. This can also be a way to deepen self-exploration, and that can be kind of embedded into your counseling skills and how you help other people. So by integrating fashion-related insights into our counseling practice, we can always create an even more well-rounded approach. Again, well-rounded approach to helping people on their journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. And I think that that's very, very important. So I hope that this episode was interesting. It was a little bit different take. I felt like it could be very important because we're in a society nowadays where people judge us. People judge us without knowing us. That saying, don't judge a book by its cover, is very real. There are so many stereotypes. I know I've gone to so many conferences where I see people wear their local clothing and it identifies them coming from a certain background or culture. And you can easily pick up on that just by how somebody dresses. And it clothing can separate us, but also unify us, right? If we understand how to use it in this context, and if we can bridge the idea of understanding and acceptance, this can help us become a much more well-rounded counselor, and it can help us in our counseling skills, and it can help us not form biases or judgments on people, rather embrace them and accept them and help them at the end of the day. So that concludes this episode of how fashion impacts us. And we explored the impact of our clothing choices and how it impacts others and how we can leverage this knowledge to enhance our own personal practice. So again, thank you so much for joining me today on the WRC podcast. If you found this episode valuable, make sure that you subscribe to my podcast because I'm always releasing an episode on Mondays typically, and you will be the first to be notified. And it's just important that we strive to keep supporting each other. And in this community of being a well-rounded counselor, you're here to grow, you're here to learn, you're here to think differently. You're not here to be a part of, the mediocrity of this world. You are here to make a difference and you are special. And I'm here to tell you that each and every week. So stay tuned for future episodes. We'll keep exploring different ways to enhance our counseling skills. And until then, keep growing, keep learning, keep counseling, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. Did you love the episode? I hope you're feeling inspired and no longer feeling alone out there, and you're ready to evolve and become a better person. Make sure that you share this podcast or take a screenshot and post it on your social media. That's how you help spread this podcast organically, and people can find it much easier when you share, or share it with a loved one. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and make it your mission to be a blessing in someone else's life today.